this with a wonderful video about the ALPS. Here we go. So this is all about ALPS. And move forward, introducing our very own host is Dr. Suryakumari ma'am. She's a life skills coach, an MPhil and doctorate in economics, is an academician turned entrepreneur, and the founder president of the ALPS, the Academy of Life and People Skills. She is a certified barefoot counselor with more than 25 years of work experience in teaching, research, and industry, starting with NEERI in Nagpur as an environmental economist and Citibank as a quality analyst. She has undertaken research in environmental economics, women empowerment, and microfinance. Social causes are very dear to her, and she is associated with several, like organ donation, service to the blind, education for girls school dropouts, life skills for children, and parents are a few of them. She has been nominated as expert member Healthcare Sector Skill Council of India for transplant coordinators. She is one of 25 country and the only life skills coach among senior doctors from the defense and other hospitals and social workers in India. Professor Surya has pledged all her organs. Recently, she was featured in CEO Insight magazine among the top 10 women corporate, women corporate trainers 2021 of the country. It's a very big question. Our own our very own Dr. Surya Kumari. You're on mute, ma'am. Yes. Okay. So we are moving ahead with our guest for today. And here is a small video which also introduces her and also it's kind of a nourishment of all the memories and achievements.
Dr. Shakila Merchant Khan holds a PhD in Environmental Sciences from IIT Roorkee and was an environmental scientist for more than 12 years until she migrated to USA in 2002. She joined the City College of New York's NOAA Research and Education Center and since then been in several strategic leadership positions. In her current job, Shakila has impacted more than 1,000 ranging from middle high undergraduate to graduate students. Besides being a mentor, Shakila is principal investigator and has been directing the summer outreach programs geared towards college readiness. She lives in Edison, New Jersey with her husband and two children.
I welcome you again, ma'am. So, this was the ritual of every guest. And now the baton is passed to the ma'am for initiating the new.
Yes, thank you, Ashmat. And before I start, I would have something very, shall I say, curious to say. Is the scientist is not a person who gives all the right answers. Maybe I could say that one who asks the right questions. So, who is a scientist here, me or you, Shakila? Anyway, so I'm one who thinks that science has great beauty, and I believe that one has to think scientifically rather than have a science degree. So I guess economists who think rationally can also be called as scientists.
Absolutely.
So I'm just kidding here, trying to, give terms and names for economists who are always, joked upon by everyone around the world. So anyway, so Shakila and I were both JRF's Junior Research Fellows in NEERI, National Environmental Engineering Research Institute in Nagpur. So we were just fresh out of college, and from then we are still continuing our friendship from place to place wherever we go. I guess this is another kind of long distance relationship, a long distance friendship that goes across the seas. And I'm so thankful to have you as my friend. And I'm so thankful that you joined us today. And so she's, we do touch base on WhatsApp, or, sometimes we just make a call and talk. And nowadays we also moved into, we touch base on LinkedIn. And so professionally, we are still continuing to be in touch, though we are no longer colleagues. So that is, I think, very nice thing that women do. I'm sure men also do that, but we have a different kind of a bond that is there across, I guess, women. Wherever we go, we never lose touch of our friends. And moving on to Shakila's profile, which is she's from NOAA and she's from CUNY. Some of us here may not be fully aware of what NOAA does and what is Shakila's, main work that she does. So that before we, discuss other things, let us first try to understand what's her work, what's her domain, so that we are all on one page. So we thought this time we'll ask Shakila to present a bit about herself and her work, so that we all are on the same page. Is it okay, Shakila?
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Surya. First, I really want to thank each one of you, and especially you, Surya, for absolutely having me for this conversation. And I'm really looking forward to engaging. And yes, you are a scientist. Anyone who is critical thinker is a scientist. And believe me, in my job here, it is so important for me to work with economists. My work relates to, and especially the agency, we cannot understand the impact of the problems in the environment without having economists. So yes, you know, every job is important, and so we are all scientists in our own way. So with that, I think I would just take a few minutes and walk you through my journey, and then we'll take up with the questions and answers. So let me share my screen, and please let me know if you're able to see my screen.
Yeah.
Great. So, greetings and good evening and good morning to all of us who are here today. My name, as Ashmat and Surya indicated, I'm Shakila Merchant, and I have I'm working with a university, but academic partner to a federal agency here called National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. So just down the memory lane, I started my career way back in 1990, as Surya indicated, with one of the premier organization in environmental research at Nagpur in India. I started fresh off from right after my master's degree, as Surya indicated. Then while I was still working, I realized, and I really appreciate the good mentorship I received at that time from our previous director. I was encouraged to do my PhD while I was still working, and it was very important for me to, earn while I learn, because in India we don't have fellowships and all, and these education in STEM field is expensive. And I was still living in Nagpur, Maharashtra, but I had to enroll in IIT Roorkee, which is in Uttar Pradesh. I think right now it's Uttarakhand. I'm not sure, but it was a very amazing journey for me to migrate and also migrate from my traditional zoology field to environmental science and engineering. So I somehow, with all the support I got from my family and my mentors, I got a degree in 2000, and then I was married. So I had a good career in India. I was one of the lead biodiversity expert. But then, as the culture and the tradition is within our Indian culture, I was married, so I had to uproot myself and move to United States in April 2002. So I had to recalibrate myself and start all over again. This is where I started my job in 2002. In 2002, arrangement for me till I felt that, okay, I'm going to just do some hands-on science, do some lab work and move on. But there was something about this job that I am still working here, and I plan to hopefully retire from here. Um, but back when I was doing my research and working as a scientist in India, it was the work that I did was very motivating. And for me as a scientist, I always felt the need to connect with the society, to need to connect with the people. I was not the fundamental based research that you do your research, get a result, and publish papers. Yes, that is very important as a scientist, but for me, it is important to connect with how the science that I'm doing is helping the society, helping the people. So my work in India was very application based. We used to do a lot of impact assessment studies of various kinds of developmental activities and how it impacts this ecosystem, the ecosystem that provides us all the natural resources, the quality of life that we have, and how are we impacting that with all the different industrial activities. So I studied major ecosystems within the country, within the urban ecosystems, also, and the impact could be different, like, whether it's constructing a dam, and how it inundates a lot of villages around the activity, or mining that is completely deforesting our ecosystem in the dune valleys, or the air pollution that could be impacting our lives. Delhi seems to be still the most polluted city in the world. So my job primarily was to advocate the Ministry of Environment and Forest time, that whether or not this kind of development is sustainable, or if not, what are the negative impacts that it could have on our ecosystem. And and what kind of jobs, for example, it would evolve or include for our community. So I worked for more than 25 such projects, and three projects of these culminated into my thesis work. When I migrated to US, as I said, I kind of transformed from being a scientist to being an educationist to continue being a researcher and impacting on our younger generation. And my kids are an important part of what I do. As much as I can, I try to take them to conferences, and engage them into the kind of work that I do, and hopefully they imbibe from what I have been so far in my life. So I moved to New York, and then we now relocated to Edison, but I'm still commuting to New York for my work. So um, work in here in US has not been so different from what I used to do in India. Of course, when I came here, and probably this will come up in the conversations, life was not so easy for me to recalibrate and restart my career. But I'm thankful that I was able to still continue to engage in the kind of research that the agency NOAA does, which is science service and stewardship. So it was really close to my heart, and I just jumped at that opportunity to start my work. So it's a research and education center where we really do the research and use that as a tool to educate and create the next generation of cadre of scientists and engineers that can then go and join the NOAA workforce. So education and research is something that is pillars of what we do in the university here. We are a large consortium, so across the U.S. So I'm located here on the East Coast, but I lead all the regional partners that all the way stretch to the West Coast to the Caribbean, the Mayaguez, the Puerto Rico island. So I have students, educating and training across the country, and it's a tough job, and especially now with the pandemic, but we take pride in what we do for our students. And primarily, the NOAA is the largest federal agency, as many of you may know. Its job is to really take the pulse of the Earth's ecosystem, what's happening, how are we protecting our Earth from further damage due to climate change or global warming, and it's taking the pulse rate from the roof of the sun to the bottom of the ocean. That's pretty much how you can define NOAA, which is unlike different than what NASA does. NASA is looking outside the Earth, and NOAA is looking inside the Earth, but both of them are observing using various satellite suites of satellites. These are the 9 focal areas within the NOAA that we engage our students in: coastal, atmosphere, marine. So, I mean, of course, most of our work is related to remote sensing data that we get from these satellites that are engaged, and the missions are developed by the agency, primarily by NASA and NOAA. But once they're launched and the data is coming down, we have our own satellite receiving stations within the university, and that becomes the hub of the data that comes in, and students and the researchers are using that to understand the environmental issues, whether it is related to coast, which is very critical for United States, because third of the population, global sea level rise or the pollution is impacting the resiliency, and what kind of alternatives that we can provide for better a sustainable environment, or even the extreme events. As you may know, tornadoes and hurricanes are common in the US, and how do we really protect the people and lives, or the drought or the extreme water flooding and drought that can impact the farmers, the agriculture. So there's anything that is related to science within the complete gamut of environment is what we engage our students in. And it is important because, these natural resources, if they're impacted, that impact our ecosystem services that provides us the basic food and life and air to breathe. So how does that impact? What are the drivers? What are the key drivers that are changing because of the changes that are created, be it anthropogenic or natural events, and how does it impact the ecosystem is something that is core to what we do. And we're not fundamental research, but we are application based to do science service and stewardship for the American people and also for the world. My job primarily is, advising, mentoring, and creating various research opportunities for our students. And I deal with students starting from middle school to high school to undergraduates, masters, PhDs, and postdocs. So it's a K to gray model that I run. This is one of my favorite picture of taking students to Hudson River here in New York City to study the quality of water. And again, these are some of the pictures of my students, how we have engaged them in cutting edge sciences and research, water sampling or testing the air quality, and then typically my job, to end my slides, my job is, demands key competencies, not only for me to engage and impart that to my students, but also for myself. How do I influence the decisions that the students are making as their mentor? Teamwork, leadership, and of course, Surya would know this better than I do. And problem solving, improving performance, and lifelong learner, and being a team player is something that is core to what I do in a day-to-day job. So just wanted to give that a little snapshot. I hope,
and let's get the ALPS conversation started now. And so, yeah, as you said, you also went there just like in any most of us. Because of marriage, you have shifted from one, place to another place. Or to this day, 99% of women uh, shun their careers or just restart, click the restart button once they get married. And that's become norm. So it's a very normal, and it's accepted by men and women, and it's accepted by not just, should I say, educated women who opt to be homemakers, but educated working women also. And that is a norm. So I'm not discussing that. My question is different. Most immigrants who go to the US from India, let's say, or from any other country, they go on a work visa, like they go because their job posting has been there, or they get a new job, go there, or there degree, they go there to study and then apply for a job. But you did what we all do in India. You chucked your career, flourishing career here, and then went there as a spouse, like, to join your spouse, and you are highly educated in a flourishing career. And so how was those challenges to find a job there? And was there any disparity, let's say, with respect to, because you didn't have a US degree, or because uh, was there a disparity because you were a woman?
very well said, Surya. What a question. Yes, actually, I had to recalibrate myself. Um, and as you can see that when I moved to US, it was 2002, and 9/11 had just happened like a few months ago. So the US job market was completely hostile for new immigrants or new folks who were coming to US. So there was another challenge that was going on in the US. The economy was down because of the 9/11, and people were profiled. I was profiled too because I'm a Muslim, and now I'm entering into the US. So I really, in all my life when I was in US, India, I was a workaholic, and I was actually studying when I did my when I had a full-time job. I would be on the field for 15 days, come back to office and provide the report, and then And in between all these things, I'm juggling to complete my PhD. So working like working was like in my blood. And then when I came here in April, I landed here. April 4th, 2002, and I didn't have a job. And I was like, when I get up in the morning, I said, what do I do now? Uh, and and I did not know where to start. With a foreign degree and a complete foreigner, straight from Nagpur to New York, just two ends in my life, I did not know where to start. Um, and definitely, I had challenges to begin my career all over again. And also, it was very hard for me to uproot myself. And for the very fact that I'm getting married, that I had to uproot myself was very unacceptable to me at that time, because I was always that woman empowerment kind of thing in my life. And I was always working in a male dominant culture. As a scientist, as a female, as a Muslim scientist, the first generation student from my whole family, I had always, already broken many laws or many cultural laws. So when I was moving here and I had to resign, just going back to how I started my journey, my director didn't accept my resignation letter at that time. I said, Shakila, you're taking a risk in your life. What do you know if whether or not you would like US, whether or not you would have a equally good job there? What's the guarantee? You may want to come back. So he had a deal with me that, take it 2 days, 2 years of extraordinary leave of absence, and then see the culture there, see if you can fit there. If not, then we'll take you back. So until 2004, I still had the job with me without pay. So I started my journey, and not knowing what I'm doing in an unknown territory. And then here I come, and I applied to almost 100 jobs, no response. And every time I would be told that, oh, we're not hiring now because of 9/11. And then, I took a quick course of, how to really fit into the US culture, how to dress, how to talk, how to, refine your resume. We call curriculum vitae, we call bio data, right? Here they call resume. And so I had to really take those crash course for a week. And we were 100 people in the job, in the field, in that cohort, and 99 of them got the job except for me. And I'm like, what's going on? And then the director called me and said that, well, you didn't get a job because the other folks were walk-in interviews as, bartender or drivers or, cash register, counter checking, like like a clerical job. And your resume is overly qualified. You're overqualified, so you're not qualified for these jobs. So finally, I was able to get this job, and I thought it's a temporary thing because I did not know what I'm going to do. And I realized when I was interviewed, I was asked questions like, would you be able to do this job? You don't seem to have any US experience. And uh, I was given the job with 60% less salary than my counterpart, who was my predecessor on that job. So I realized that, that would something that I have to embrace, because I have to yet prove my folks here that whether or not I'm worth doing this. So of course it took me a couple years but I was grateful that I had the opportunity to kick the door and get that opportunity and go inside and tell the world here that yes, I am able to do this job and I can do it better. And that's the history, right? People were suspicious. People, I had to work twice as hard because I'm a woman of color, minority, and foreign degree. So I was always treated with that suspicious that, well, would she be able to handle this? Would she be able to go to this meeting and represent the center? And today is the day, like I'm at the glass ceiling right now, and I look at it, and all my students who come in, I always make it a point that nobody's treated that way, and everybody is having that opportunity, because every time it's a first time, right? It was my first time in US, but people had a hard time believing in me. But you know, that's the reality of life.
So, was there a pay parity because you didn't have a US degree?
Yes, there was no pay parity. I definitely had to deal with the fact that I didn't have a US degree. Um, First 2 years, of course, I waited patiently to convince my director and my president and the university leadership that, and then I put my case to them, and then I got the promotion and stuff like that. So, but initially, that is just the reality, that you didn't go to school here, you didn't go to college here, and so you just have a
And
formal
you're,
degree.
and you're a woman of color.
I'm a woman of color. Yes, absolutely. So yeah.
And so, yeah, this is one challenge that you had to face because you had to make a career of your own, on your own, and live up to their expectations in a very short span of time.
Yes.
And at the same time, you didn't have all the advantages of having studied in the US or working in an MNC, that because of which you came to the US. So none of these things, and there was recession. So
Mhm.
despite all these challenges, I'm so proud of you, Shakila, that you're now what you are, and that you're now struggle to add to the cultural shock, should I say. See,
Yeah.
culture is one thing that it has all the human potentials, and you have to be accepted in whatever capacity you are, whatever background you have come from, and especially at the workplace, to be accepted for our work and not for our different culture that we come from is a very hard thing to do. And I would say simplest is, even women in India, when we get married, we have, let's say, 25 years of a kind of upbringing, and then we go to another family. It's a complete transformation just within the community, within the country, but for you it is a complete different thing. And how much of a cultural shock did you go through, and how did you adapt to it?
Wow. Yes. When I look back, it's like, how did I do it? That's a question I always come in my mind, Surya. And one other thing that I do want to bring in, probably that connects with the culture and the perception people have in the Western world versus our culture. Um, when I was interviewed for this job, I was told that you're brand new, you're fresh off the boat, you do not know the American culture, so you really have to put your 100% in the job. So no family distraction. You can't even have babies. Like I was asked that question. So
You said sorry to interrupt, I'm really shocked here. You said you cannot have
I
babies.
should not be, yeah, I should not think about becoming pregnant, because that will take away my training time. And sure enough, I joined, I came to US in April, and then in August, I got the job. And July 22nd, 2002, I started my job. And September, I went back to my boss and said that, yes, I am pregnant. And so it was funny, but I think I think within that time, I am a quick learner perhaps, and I was able to provide that kind of an assurance to my team that I can do this. But in my own world, it was a, a terrible journey for me. I had cultural shock. I did not know the food here. I was having morning sickness. I had to commute like from Queens to, and as you may know, New York City is the largest city in the world. My commute was terrible, and I had to still prove to my folks that I can do this. I come 5 minutes late to work, and they would just start talking. she's going to fall out. She's not going to work. She won't be able to get this out. And sure enough, slowly and steadily, I was able to change their opinion about me. And I think the reason I was able to do that is because of the way we are brought up in India: tolerance and acceptance and patience, and, and take it in your stride and move on. I don't have a family. I still don't have a family here, but I'm much more comfortable, adapting to the US culture here. But at that time, it was very, very tough for me. I would be working till 4 o'clock in the morning because I always had to prove that what you're thinking about me is not true. I am different than what you have. At that time, they would make it a point that, yes, you have to be here at 9 o'clock for the meeting, which means that I would start from home like 7:30 just to be on time. And, I chuckle with my team right now that whenever they want to have a meeting, they come to Shakila, would you be able to come by 10 to come for the meeting? And I said, no, I think I'm busy this morning. I would be here at 10:30. And the whole team is willing to change the meeting time to, to accommodate my time. So what I'm trying to say is that, yes, if you have the right purpose in life, and you have the dedication and the conviction and the confidence in yourself, I think you can win over any challenge that you would have in life. I would never forget those days in my life, and that's what makes my job even more important, because I help students and other staff members who come now, that it same thing doesn't happen to them. History doesn't repeat with them. So it
That
really is important to me. Yeah.
that's very magnanimous of you, and that is the greatest learning, that we don't repeat what we faced to others,
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
this is what we went through. We don't want someone else to go through the same thing. And I'm really sorry if I'm taking you back to painful memories.
Not
And but there is so much of respect, I'm sure, from all of us here to when we go through this very sensitive issue of your life. Thank you so much for sharing. And I hope all of us are able to understand how difficult it is and how you have faced all of these.
Yeah.
Hats off, really, I'll tell you.
Thank you.
And um, so, again, going on with, shall I say, the cultural thing itself. So, I was once told by a colleague, or I should say a friend, and since I don't smoke or drink, so she said, Surya, you're missing out on everything, all the career requisite socials. And drinking is a personal choice, if you ask me. And most women in India, of course, it's changing now, but during my time, most women never used to smoke or drink. And we would lose out on the so called, uh, 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 can I say, moves, if that's the right word I could say. It seems to be very essential in corporate culture, even in India. But how is it for you there, Shakila, with respect to these kind of socializing at work?
Oh, yes. That is something that was one of the most challenging part of my adaptation to the culture here, especially because as a Muslim, we don't drink even in India. So obviously, um, and in the US culture is in any good thing, first thing they do is let's toast, and happy hours. And when we go to meetings and all, I was completely invisible, because I think the perception when people meet you is, oh, she won't be able to do this, and uh, and she when you're not toasting and you're not on the table with them with a glass of wine, you don't belong there. So I was invisible at the beginning. I did not adapt, and it was very difficult for me for two reasons, because not only that I don't eat pork and I don't drink wine, but also most of these meetings I would be the only woman with 40 other men. So I would always feel like, can I just be like hide myself? Can I be just like invisible? Can I wear a glass that will just make me invisible here? So there were tough times for me where I would not have a way to make myself visible amongst all my white male colleagues. And they were all like, distinguished level professors or high scientists and all. But, and that was a time when I never, I never, I made it a mind that, just because that's a culture, I'm not going to give it up. I'm not going to give it up to my culture of not drinking. I would always remain. So striking a balance between who I am and who they want me to be was always like, a point for me to see. And I know for sure many of my friends who drink, and who have adapted themselves to the westernized culture. But I'm proud to say that I still don't drink and I still don't plan to drink. And I'm still invited to those parties, and I'm so much welcome now. And
Good.
they make it a point to um, be thoughtful about my culture. So they want to toast with me, so they include me in the toast, and they give me a glass of water or a Coke, which probably looks like red wine, and then they toast. But the culture has shifted, or the perception that they had about me had shifted. That, let's accept Shakila as who she is, and because she may not, she has her own culture to embrace, but we can embrace her with her culture. I think
Very
there
good.
was a shift in the mindset of my team, and I was able to perhaps do that because sometimes you really have to work hard to let people know that you can be who you are and still be successful in life.
Yes.
And it's very important for people to accept for who you are. And I make it a point in my office. I started a lot of initiatives like, celebrating our cultural diversity. A lot of my students are Caribbean, they're Hispanic and African American and white, and we do potlucks, and we said, bring your culture to the work, and we celebrate one day to do that. So now they know that that it is okay to accept her culture and be inclusive as well. So yeah, it's a long journey, but we are getting there.
Yes, and I think I should add here that all this is happening. Another reason they have accepted everything is because you're very good at what you do, and
Right.
you're good at your work, and you deliver what has to be done more and above what is expected of you. And I think
Yeah.
that also goes. It's not that just because I said this, they are doing it. It's because
Yeah.
you are good at what you do, and then comes the automatic acceptance of the way you want to,
Yeah.
preserve your identity. So I just trying to add this factor to the young audience here, that it's not about going to another country and fighting for this is my culture, this is it. You be good at your work, you
Yes.
be good at what you do, and then automatically all the other acceptance of the smaller thing, because these things are very small, and these cultural differences I think would be a point of dispute, or misunderstanding, because they didn't realize that how efficient we are at work. And once our work speaks for ourselves, all the other things fall in place.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And another thing, Surya, to add, and I think this is very important, is to believe in yourself. I
exactly.
think as women and women from India, we are always brought up with that mindset that, oh, you're a girl, you can't just speak. This is not your time to say. You need to accept whatever comes to you. Sure enough, acceptance is not meaning that you're defeated. Acceptance doesn't mean that you are giving up to that. You're just navigating yourself to through that troubled situations, but at the same time you believe in yourself. I think for me that was very important, because at the beginning, and then also the culture is also about how you dress up, how you speak, your body language. All of that is also different in US, right?
Yeah.
When you go and you should not put your legs, you should put one leg above the other. I did not know that. So you should not have your hands by your side. You should be just folding your hands. So there are so many things that um, I was different when I started. And then I realized that, well, for them to know who I am, I think I need to first prove that confidence to myself. I should love and raise my self-esteem and say that, yes, so what? If they're different, I'm different. So we are all, different in their own way. And I think as a woman, it is very important for us to believe in ourselves. Yeah.
Very well said. Self belief, self love. That's what we've been talking of in almost every episode. We say that women find it so difficult to think great about themselves. And I guess that's the theme of this conversation: quiet achievers and women at work. And each of the my guests who have joined me have all started with why me, and
Yeah.
I am not so. So I think we are always so modest, and we don't like to praise ourselves. That is also one thing women have to change, that learn to project yourself for who you are. And that's one thing. Another thing, when talking about work in India, we have this work is worship, and our identity is our work, and life is work. And we don't have, what can I say, a work life balance at all. And especially for women, sometimes this work life balance is essential because we need to take care of a family. But many a time I have experienced it myself also when I was in Citibank, that every time my team leader, project manager, he would say that तू हमेशा स्कूल जाना बोलती है, जब देखो पेरेंट टीचर मीटिंग बोलते हो, मेरे बेटे का टेस्ट है बोलो, what is going on? I said, yeah, I have a life. I have to take care of my son. I need to go meet his school. I have to go for his sports day or whatever. He has a test. Yeah, what to do about it? So if you talk about, my work will anyway be done. I was one who would never shirk my work. But then it would always be said that you always have to go home. And I have seen them talk about women who work and उसको तो कुछ family का है ही नहीं. It's like, if you work all the time, you are judged by saying you don't care for your family, you're career minded. And if you say, I want to go home, you would say, like, you are always using the excuse of home to go, get away from work. So it's like, damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Absolutely.
So, how is it there for you, work life balance as a woman?
Well, that challenge is I think it's global. For women, no matter how much we could be educated and we could be like the CEO of the company or vice president, president. And I remember in one of the conversation that um, I'm forgetting her name. She was the CEO of Pepsi, Coca-Cola. She's a Bengali person. Wow, I'm forgetting her name, but nevertheless,
Indra Nui, yeah.
yeah, Indra Nui, exactly. So she, I think it was a TED talk, and she was promoted to be the vice president, and that's like, come on, you're vice president of this, corporate America, and she goes home and she's trying to tell this to her mom. And her mom is taking care of her two kids, and she's trying to tell mom, I was promoted today. Like that was the best day of her life. And her mom says,
and she said, go get the milk or something, right?
yes. Said, "Ghar mein dudh nahi hai," and what the hell are you telling me? Like kids are hungry. So I think sometimes it is it, it's taken, it's given that women have to be the
No, but
superwoman.
sorry
They
to
have to
interrupt,
balance everything.
Shakira, but I was asking about how is it at the workplace? Did you get this kind of comments that I was saying?
No, I don't. No, we that is not something that is evident here. But I did have that struggle because of I have to work extended hours, and but I was not criticized for not having more time for my family. My family was supportive, and my husband was supportive as much as he could. But at the end of the day, when there's no food to eat, yes, women are criticized. But I think what I'm trying to say is that it's not
I
as miserable
have to
here.
interrupt here. Sorry again. I was meaning the work people, not the family.
No,
Are you criticized at work that you leave work and go away?
no, I
Yeah.
don't. I
That
was
was
not.
what I was talking about,
Yeah.
work-life balance, how we have to fight it out at the workplace.
Yes.
Houses, we all have supportive families, and that
Yes.
is there. I was talking about the work culture.
No, I think the work culture, at least in my place, initially, I would say that when I was pregnant, it was hard. The very first year because I haven't, I was not entitled to maternity leave because I had 1 year, less than a year before I had my baby. Um, I had to go back to work. But I think if that is something could change, I would say that um, it is important for a woman to be treated in a way that she can take a couple days off still and work.
True.
But but it is what it is that you don't get pay. It's pay without or you can lose the job. I think those insensitivity is there. Even here, I had to literally go back to work right away. And but what I did based on my lessons was that I tried to give the working moms, the new moms, or even some of my students had babies. So, time to, feed or, you know, pump the milk or whatever that a woman needs to do, especially young moms or new mothers. But at the same time, for me, maybe I was fortunate enough that by the time I had the two babies, I was able to come to a level where I was able to design or devise my own work hours. Like, for example, I'm taking a time off right now, but I will work this. And I think in my field of work, if the work gets done, even if it's midnight, it's fine. You can take the day off, right? So I think I was able to convince my folks that yes, I have to take the day off for my child, but I will get the work done. And I was able to get the work done. How
Yeah.
hard it was is my problem, right? But I
Yes.
was able to get done. So I was able to win that confidence of my team. I think that's how I navigated myself. But you are absolutely right that not everyone is as fortunate, perhaps,
Yeah.
and that struggle is still there. It's part of our life.
Yeah, that kind of an attitude of telling on women like, okay, you don't take care of your family or you care for your family, is always women are
Yeah,
judged for that kind of decisions that we have to take. And
yeah.
quite it's quite hurtful at that point of time when we have to do all these crucial balancing and stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Anyway, as we are running out of time, we have one last very, very generic question. We are talking of women personally as an individual. How about the women in STEM? A very generic question. Education is, I would say, the key to a golden door,
Mhm.
literally towards success. So, how about women in STEM in the US? How is it going?
Um, I would think that
Because your work also talks about
yes,
mentoring students. Hence, I'm
absolutely,
focusing,
yes.
asking you this question.
Yeah, absolutely. The women representation in STEM is still less than men, and and I have always seen this even in India that if you're a boy you become an engineer, if you're a girl if you become a doctor. I hope that is not the case still, but here also I see that most men go into engineering and technology, and most women go in biology, soft kind of sciences. And for me, and I know it's like a few drops in the ocean, but the program that I run, I really make it a point to make sure the students, the female students, are understanding can they can be STEM material too. They can do this. It's okay for you to. So we in our program we devise an orientation and a summer bridge program where we give them the skill sets that they can jumpstart to it. I think the other barrier is also the confidence that I can succeed if I'm in STEM. If those policies or those perceptions are changed, um, we would probably increase the number. I think the number is still not on par where I want to see, like 50-50 or 60-50. But we are at least getting there. It's not as bad as it was before. You know, I have as many female as male, but still the representation is less when it comes to engineering and technology field. Yeah.
So that still goes on. Anyway, I think
Yes.
we are coming to the end of today's conversation, and from the audience, if anybody would like to ask any questions or share with one of our questions that we will discuss, add something to it, fine. Meanwhile, I'll be, yes, anyone? You could just unmute yourself and join the conversation.
Good evening. This is Dr. Rajshekar. Good evening to both of you. I think it's absolutely inspiring career what Shakila has, especially left a fantastic career in India and then going to US, joining. I think Nova. I know personally what is Nova. This is probably the rather undoubtedly the top-notch research organization globally. Very proud the way she came up in that organization. Now she's a director there. I think it's not easy. I can easily understand the kind of struggle she had, and I'm extremely proud to see Dr. Shakila this position, and I'm especially as she said, being a when she has had a lot of problems, but I think things are changing now. Sure, things will be much better, and definitely men cannot be jealous, and women. There's absolutely no doubt on that. Lastly, I would say both the ladies, I'm really proud. Keep it going strong. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you, Raj.
for such inspiring words, sir.
Doctor, I want to ask. I want.
Hi, ma'am. Good evening.
Do you miss India, Dr. Shakila?
I'm sorry. If it was
Work-wise and
Do you
otherwise?
miss India?
Do you miss India?
do miss India. I do. And I'm so
Yeah.
sad that I haven't been to India since 2009.
Oh God,
Yeah.
that's
And
long.
it is such an unfortunate coincidence that I was to travel this year. I mean 2020, but the pandemic happened. So
I see.
yeah.
Oh,
So
yes.
yeah.
This
So
going.
I'm actually I would be traveling hopefully as soon as there is no restriction, because there is a initiative in India called Govardhan Eco Village. I'm sure you guys may have heard about it. It's a Mumbai-based initiative on sustainability, and they work on the principles of United Nations. So I had an I had an
Okay.
opportunity to talk to the folks there, and they had invited me to be on their panel. But yeah, as an
Amazing.
woman empowerment board of chair, and we are trying to have a collaborations with them. So I'm working on an MOU with that Govardhan Eco Village. So that would probably give me an opportunity to come to India every year. Yeah.
Look forward to see you sometime and hear you more. And such an inspiring personality you are. Amazing.
Thank
God
you so much,
bless.
Jaya. Thank you. Like my students always say that I have never seen Dr. Merchant upset. I think she has the,
Yeah.
she, if you are stressed out, just go to Dr. Merchant's office and you'll feel less depressed because of the smile that she has. I'm like, okay.
Could feel that. Even I could feel that. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Surya. It was
Thank you
wonderful.
so much. Thank you. It really
Thank you.
means a lot. Yeah.
Good evening, madam. Good evening, Muthuvalavan. I'm auditor.
Yes, sir. Continue, sir.
Okay. Madam Shakila, you struggle like anything in US after joining, after going there to get employment and to take care of, because you are you told us workaholic. Workaholic people will never get tired, whatever be the situation. You tried and you won the situation, and I congratulate you. And it is a lesson for people like Ashmat. See, there are youngsters, they will get perturbed in the first instance. You told 99% got employed except you. Really, I appreciate your efforts and your willpower, commitment, and perseverance. Okay, like Suryakumari also, as she was my student, I know Suryakumari was a very, she won't talk much like that. But now Suryakumari is doing wonderful thing, and she is having lot of association with medical hospitals, and she is developing skills of the people. Really, I appreciate both Dr. Suryakumari and Madam. Congratulations. Thank you. All the best, ma'am.
So thank you so much. And I should say, like, now I'm in a stage when I feel so happy when some of my students, after 10 years or something, they call up and say, ma'am, how are you? We miss your classes. For me, I don't know how to say it, like my school teacher, this is more than 30 years, 35 years back. And he still remembers me. Yes, I was a very quiet girl. Nobody used to know me really, because I had an elder sister and a brother, both in the same school, would always come first. So I would be known as maybe Sri Devi's sister. So it's very nice, humbling, and I feel so nice. Made my day, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm
Yes.
so proud to be Surya's friend. We are lifelong friends. We call, and we plan to keep it that way.
Yes.
Right. So, one of the thing also is important is to so, and not every journey is successful. Not everything that you do, but the very fact that
Yes.
you try and you try to do it, and whatever you achieve is something worth celebrating. I think we as women, we always belittle ourselves, we beat up ourselves, and we always say, oh, I couldn't do it. The guilt always is bothering us. I think that transformation and I was the same. I wouldn't deny that, and I wouldn't. I was the same, but I think the moment you start to see that, appreciate yourself, I think it is very important for us as women to do
Yes.
that. Yeah.
As we end, we don't want to keep people waiting from their dinner. So I think Ashmat,
Yes.
could you read some of
Yeah,
the?
I will. But before that, what I could feel is that everything about this conversation was so inspiring. Be it the people still intact, the same amount of audience who came in and throughout the conversation. That means a lot. Means that you are enjoying it. And sometimes the words, they really can't capture the emotions and the depth involved with the whole life experiences so far. Shakila ma'am and Surya ma'am, you know what I'm talking about. And it is inspiring for me and for everyone, I'm sure. And it makes us think that at the end of the day, if we are happy, it's all worth it. So a few chats I'm going to read. There are many coming up. Madhusmita Das, if I've pronounced it right, says that thank you, ma'am. Your journey is very, very challenging as well as inspirational, as you have completed your doctorate degree in India and now you're guiding doctorate students there. So you could feel what I mean. You could feel what I mean. What's the difference you feel the way you learn in India and the way you are mentoring your students? Kudos to you, Surya. Thank you, Dr. Shakila. Extremely proud of you. God bless. And rightly said, Dr. Shakila, let's celebrate life. What a beautiful way to think. Live life. It's so beautiful. Lots and lot of wonderful comments. Ma'am will definitely be sharing this with us. But we have to move forward towards the wrapping of this conversation. And there is one thing which I would like to share is that we are moving towards the last week of the ALPS conversation, basically, in which we will be having Miss Jaya ma'am, and she's an actress and has worked on various projects, be it of the Hindi cinema or the native South Indian projects, and popularly known for Anbe Sivam 2003, and has worked and has thoroughly worked in the cinema industry. And also we will be having Miss T. Anita, who is a Pilates coach and a fitness consultant, and she will be joining us from Gurgaon. So also we will be having another bonus half an hour in which we will be having all the ALPS conversation speakers so far joining us for a casual interactive group chat, and it's a great opportunity for participants, I mean the joinees, to connect with them again. So last week, it's kind of nostalgia and excitement mixed up. So it is 29th of May and 30th May, same time, 6:30 p.m. I hope you all enjoyed it, and we're looking forward to see you for the last week also. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us.